Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening now? Thank you for joining us on Drive 105 MNL's YouTube channel. My name is Dee Curran, and this interview is brought to you exclusively on YouTube by Paul Martin Menswear. Today's interview is something special because the interviewee is a special player. Born and raised in the Brandywell, Liam Coyle made his first appearance for Derry City on the 6th of November of 1988, scoring a hat-trick against Cove Ramblers. The following season, he would suffer a severe knee injury that would have forced him to retire from the sport. He resumed his career with Omagh Town in 1992 and returned to Derry City the following year, winning a further league title, 2 FAI Cups, while scoring 112 goals with the Candy Stripes. In the next 20 minutes, we talk about goals, injuries, managers and trophies, so we hope you're sitting comfortably because we're about to get Derry nostalgic with Liam Coyle. Liam, after the success of your debut season as a team and as an individual, did you enter the next year, the 89-90 season, thinking that things could only get better?
I think the next season was basically try to move on, try and start the season well and carry on where you left off. But I was actually looking to move away. That's what my next step was, and I think everything was in place to do that. They go on, and then first match of the season you get injured, so that sort of derailed it a bit.
There was always a rumour that Sven Goran Eriksson was really impressed with you in the Benfica game. Is that true?
Well, I was told after it, I wasn't told at the time, but I was told after it that he definitely made inquiries about it, especially after the game in the Brandywell. And between that, we played on the Wednesday. We played Benfica on the Wednesday. Went down to Dundalk on the Sunday. We weren't to play them again because it used to be a fortnight then. It wasn't a weekly the way they do it now. It was every fortnight. Went down to Dundalk, got injured. And then we played Shamrock Rovers, I think it was in the Brandywell, the following Sunday. And then we were away then to Portugal on the Tuesday. So in between then, I was struggling with the knee, I wanted to play in that game out in Lisbon. So sort of played half injured, After that match, I realised then that the knee needed looked at.
How long after the game in Benfica did you go and get thoroughly examined?
I think it was only a couple of weeks now. I actually went to Paris with Alex Christie. Alex was moving house from Germany, but he was driving from Paris to Saarbrücken where he had his house. So Jim and the medical staff organised like a scan and somewhere, I can't even remember where it was now. It was in France somewhere as we were driving down to Alex's. So I drove the whole way from Paris to Germany with Christic. He said to me, look, you'll have to go and get an operation, So we come back and actually Jim then organised, it was like a probe in, what they called it, in Hull.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Hull, got the thing done, didn't realise how bad it was until I got back. Jim had actually flew back for the match. Jim went over me, but actually we were playing Shelburne on the Sunday. Mm-hmm. So Jim flew back on the Saturday. So I was in the hospital, and by the time I get back in, the results and all had come back that wasn't good news, So basically, it was all done within about 3 or 4 weeks.
Who broke the news to you?
The offices used to be down in Queen Street. Somebody's office up the stairs. I think, God rest, Rima McLean was there. I think Ian Doherty was there, and Jim, and maybe, I can't remember who else, maybe Martin McDade or Jackie McCauley, I can't remember. And they all sat down and told me, look, this is the way it is, and your knee's not going to hold up, and if you keep playing and stuff like this, you're going to end up not being able to walk, basically, So from the start of the season, going to Benfica, the 4 weeks later, it was basically all over.
Did you seek different medical opinions after you got your diagnosis, especially when people are telling you have to stop playing?
Do you know the thing about it? I don't think it did, no. But the funny thing about it was the following season, I went, when it stopped playing with Derry, I went to America to play semi-pro over in America. They actually got me scans and got me to see these doctors in America. And all the doctors were all saying, look, this is going to improve. This is going to improve. This is going to get better. All you have to do is just rest it, basically, and maybe take a year out, and it'll regenerate itself. Like over here, I don't think the club got me a second opinion. No, I don't think they did, no.
Was it just rest that got you ready to get back into professional or semi-professional football?
That's what they told me in America. That's what the doctors said in America. But I kept playing. I kept playing locally, just junior, playing the D&D and playing summer cups and stuff like that. And the knee actually packed up on me playing in the summer cup the following season. So I was actually taken into hospital and they took a bit of bone out of my knee at that time. And basically I was like, that's me done now. Like, I'm not playing again. And then after about 3 or 4 months after I got that bone taken out, I just started playing indoor football and just trying to get a bit of enjoyment out of it again. Like, you know what I mean? So there was no real plan to come back into football. But what happened was, I think the knee sort of repaired itself, so to speak. Because I didn't play for about 6 months after that happened.
Summer 1982, you do return to professional or semi-professional football, whatever way you want to put what Omagh Town was. How did that come about?
I started playing D&D again with Brandywell Harps, and I could feel myself getting stronger. I could feel the knee wasn't as sore when I played, and it wasn't giving me as much bar. And then scored a lot of goals playing the summer cups. At that time, maybe 6 or 7 summer cups. And you were playing every other night, basically. Like, it was 7-a-sides, Buncrana, Pat Harkin, made down sevens and the ballpark and all. What happened was, Big Roy McCready asked me, Omagh had come into the league about a year, and there was a lot of Derry boys up there, boys that maybe wouldn't have got a chance to play senior football, but Roy took them all up there. But like the way Institute now is now, like the others are getting a chance they play senior football, because if you're not good enough for Derry, you wouldn't have got a chance. And he just said to me, look, come up and play. You don't have to train. Just go and play, enjoy it, and try and get a bit of interest back again to yourself. And I was like, because basically I wasn't full of money, because Omagh didn't have any money. Like, you were only probably getting expenses going up there. Like, you know what I mean? So only it was Roy, I probably wouldn't have went up, but I'd known Roy going back and playing against Celtic Swifts, and none of them used to go and watch him playing with Coleraine also. Come up and give it a go just to see how I got on. And lucky enough, it was a really good year, like, a really enjoyable year without any pressure on me.
What was Roy like as a manager?
I don't think I spoke to Roy about anything. Roy just used to say to me, just go out and enjoy it. Like, you know what I mean? I know he used to have a go at other boys, but he used to just go out and enjoy it. You can play, He was a good manager, good with players, had a good way about him. He understood the game well, and I had good time for Roy, and grateful for the fact that he actually asked me to go up now. Like, you know what I mean? Who was brilliant for me when I went up there? Paddy Cassidy was Roy's trainer, coach, or whatever you want to call it. Paddy was brilliant at getting me going, because I was still lacking a lot of confidence because it's been 2 years since I played for Derry at that level. Paddy just instilled so much confidence in me that I could play at that level again, So while Roy was good, I think it was Paddy Cassidy who really got the best out of me.
What was your favourite moment at Omagh?
I think I actually scored a winner. I thought I scored a winner against Glentoran, and then my first game at St Julian's Road.
Right.
We beat the likes of Jimmy Cleary and Barney Bowers and Raymond Morrison, and Justin McBride was playing there. No, they were really top side, and I think we beat them 3-2. So that was one of the best. But we beat Coleraine in the Northwest Cup Final 2-0. I didn't score. I actually scored. I think Barry Patton scored 2 that night. That was really good, because the club like Omagh, they go up against the likes of Coleraine and teams like that there at that time.
Opinion around about the time of the 90s, around Derry City supporters, especially around my age, very uneducated guesses, by the way, they always thought that strikers got more time on the ball in the Irish League comparatively to what is now the League of Ireland. Like, you've spent 2 stints in that league. Would you have said that it was a striker's paradise at that time?
I don't think it was. No, to me, there was no real difference. I think the League of Ireland was more, at that time, disciplined and more structured than the Irish League, and I think he found it harder to score in the League of Ireland, but the Irish League was a bit more open. There's no doubt about it. Like, you know what I mean? Because when I went back to play with Glentoran, like, I'm not joking, I think we were playing with 4 centre forwards at one time. Tommy Cassidy was actually playing me as a false 9, but I don't even think he knew it was a false 9. He had myself and Glenn Little and Trevor Smith and Derek Cook and Justin McBride. There was he made the Spurs famous 5 of Ozzy Ardilly's time, where they just went out and played and were probably beat more matches. Glentoran was like at the time when I was there, but where the League of Ireland was a lot more structured and a lot more disciplined in their defending. I would say that there for definite. But the time I was at Omagh, I really enjoyed it, because I just out playing. I was like as if I was playing in indoor football again, and I think it's been proven over the years the League of Ireland has been a better league, so there's no doubt about that.
The next year, you returned to Derry City. How did it come about?
I was actually ready to sign for Glentoran. Glentoran had a bid accepted and I was ready to go. What happened was I went to Galway for a week, and at that time there was no mobile phones. Glentoran couldn't get a hold of me. If I had been in Derry at the time, I probably would have signed for Glentoran. But so when I come back, it was sort of put on hold. Glentoran and Omagh were having issues. So I went up to play a pre-season match against Dungannon for Omagh. And Paul Key at that time had become the manager at Omagh. He brought me down in the car and he said, look, we're not accepting the Glentoran bid, but there's another bid in from another club. And I thought it was another Irish League club, like Portadown or Ballymena or somebody like that, who were sniffing around me as well. He said, look, Derry want to sign you. And I was like, all right. And I was in two minds, I really was. I went home and thought about it, and Jesus said, well, look, if you want to go to Derry, we're going to accept the bid. They've offered us the money that we want. So basically that's what happened. Within a couple of days, you have doubts because you don't know whether it's the right thing to go back or not. And everybody's, telling you, this is the right thing. I spoke to a few people and I actually phoned Stuart Gold and I said to Stuart, look, this is what's happening. I'm having a few doubts about whether they come back or not. And he said, get yourself back. Roy Coyle was the manager at the time, but I think it was more to do with Tony O'Doherty. Doc was his assistant at the time. And I think the Doc came to my father's house when I was still living in my father's house at the time. And Tony came and I think it was him and Eddie Mahon and talked me on the signing.
Two halves of the gang of four ganging up on you. God love you, Liam.
Ganging up on me again, I know. And they still ganging up on me 30 years later.
Like Tony Doc does become manager the following year as well. What was he like in his variety of roles towards you as a young player at Derry City?
To be quite honest, only for Tony O'Doherty, I probably would have left Derry City within months of what was happening. Because at that time, Derry were an absolute mess. I come back, it wasn't the same Derry City that I'd left.
Mm-hmm.
It was a whole new board. There was just wasn't the same. Like, you know what I mean? It was just, when I left, it was so professional and everybody about it. But he just won the treble. And when I come back in, the place was an absolute mess. But Tony was trying to get it back again. Roy Coyle was just running out of steam at that time. And he brought me back. When I landed, you just get a feeling it wasn't. And then within 2 weeks, Paul Carlisle and Stuart Gold and somebody else were all banned from playing. Coyle fell out with them. He was bringing boys in from Scotland and England and stuff like that. So then he left, and then Tony took a job. But at that stage, I was talking to Felix and Coleraine, and I was ready to go because I was going, right, it wasn't the right move for me. I feel as if I want to go back to Irish League. And then Tony got the job, and within a week of Tony getting the job, I had changed my mind. Because Tony talked me on the stand, basically, and promised me that things would get better and stuff like this. And unfortunately, it meant falling out with Felix at the time, you know what I mean? Because he was a Coleraine manager and the deal was nearly done. But I think Tony was the best thing that happened to me. Everything that happened to me after Tony got the job and everything I won after that there, mainly down to him, because he made me realise, you're not playing with Omagh now. It's not a carry on. So you have too much ability just to be walking about and just doing what you want. You've got to play more. And I think Tony won the League Cup that year, and we were beating the FAI Cup. And like when Tony took over, we were near bottom of the league. There was a split that season. I think if we had finished out the top six, we'd have lost money, and club hadn't got any real money to spend, to be honest. But he got us under the top six, got us in the FAI Cup Final, should have won it against Sligo. And then all right, next year it didn't work out for 2011, and Felix came.
I'm not sure if you heard my interview with Paul McLaughlin where he was talking about the 95 series of semi-finals against Bohemians, but at the end he starts talking about not winning the league that year and how frequently he thinks about it. Are you the same, or did winning the league in 97 ease that pain a little bit?
Like, we never lost the league down in Athlone, but like we started that season, I think we lost about 6 matches before Christmas. And then when Felix took over, we went on a big run. You can look at it. I don't look at Athlone. It's different for me. I went on to win the league with Derry 2 years later. Should have won it, but if we had started the season better, had I won 2 matches at the start of the season that we lost, we would have won the league. You know what I mean? But it was just unfortunate, like, you know what I mean? Because the run we put on from when Felix took over to the end of the season was the most enjoyable time I've ever had playing football with Derry. We should have won the double. Like the treble year was unreal. That was just at a different level. But I was only a young fella, so I didn't really know how to enjoy it. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, this is going to happen every year. And then when I come back in 94, 95, that team was as good a team I think, that I've ever played on at Derry. I think maybe better than the 97 team that won the league, football-wise, you know what I mean? Because we were such a good side.
Well, 96, 97, you do win the league, but at the start of that year, you break your elbow at Finn Harps, and then that means that Hargy and Beckett have to start up front. Whenever they went on that fantastic run during your injury, did you think, I might not get back in this team?
Hargy and Beckett were never better than me. No, no, they were unbelievable, like, you know what I mean? Because like Hargy was playing up front. Hargy played outside right, outside left. You know, when people were injured, played left back. And knew as the season went on, it would change. And it was a bad injury I got, like, you know what I mean? Because I should have been out longer, but I was out for about 6 weeks. It wasn't like now where, you know, they're all conditioned now. They come back and play. Like, as soon as I got that cast off, like, I was straight back on it. I was just back from playing Torn, you know, and there was the big fee paid. And everybody was going, oh, he's not the player he was, and he's not this, and he's not that, like, you know, and not realising that carrying a serious injury, like. But I always knew that once I was able to get myself reasonably fit, that I'd always start, because Felix took a shine to Hargy. It was one of them things. He was always going to find a place for him in the team. Not to say they earned it, like, you know, Hargy earned his spot in the team. Like, I always felt like, and once I was fit, I always knew I was always going to be starting, like, you know.
I remember whenever you came back from that injury, you had more blue support than the Conservative Party.
Oh, geez, with a knee and the elbow and like RoboCop, I think that's what the name was at the time. Like, you know what I mean? It was absolutely ridiculous. I know best about it. About 4 or 5 weeks after it, we were playing Bows in the Brandywell, and I'd done my ankle. Nobody's seen it. I had a big blue white bandage around my ankle, the one on the knee and then the one on the elbow. It was like absolutely ridiculous. I was going, right, this might be a chance here just to call it a day, like, because it was just, they were just wheeling me out at that stage, like, you know what I mean? But funny, because injuries just seemed to follow me about.
But despite being a walking injury, you used to just glide past people without a little pace. Because you weren't going at speed, did it make it a wee bit more enjoyable taking on players?
Pace to me was never a problem. The ball could always move faster than me anyhow. It was just a natural thing to me. I never went, I have to do this. I never went out to play, had a preconception of what I was going to do. It probably drove Felix nuts at times. You had all these boys around me who were all good athletes. We're all strong runners, Pizza and Heisey and James Carey and Tom Bowen, Beckett. But I just played the way it came to my mind, like, basically, and that's the way it was. But they all knew that they were going to get something out of me at some stage.
One manager I want to ask you about before we finish up. After 97, there's a few barring years, and the manager at the time is Kevin Mahon. There's a couple of League Cups, and then there's the FAI Cup. How would you describe Badger Mahon's management era?
Well, first thing I'll say about Kevin is, if Kevin Mahon hadn't took over when he did that after Felix, I don't think there would have been a football club now still going, because Kevin managed to keep a group of players, like, without any money. You know, the likes of me and Pizza, Paul Haggerty, Kearney for a couple of seasons, Eben Doherty, you know, Hargy. Kevin managed to keep everybody together on very little money. You know, because at that time, I was getting offers from the north, south, and a lot more money than Derry were giving me, and I know a few other boys were the same. Because when Felix left, I had a foot out the door about to go. There was nearly a deal done between Cliftonville, and so when Kevin took over from Felix, he basically gave me another 5 years at Derry. I could have easily have left, wouldn't have got anywhere near the recognition that I did later on, you know. Kevin understood people really, really well. He knew how to get the best out of me. And the thing about everybody forgets about Kevin, I know Kevin's last 2 years maybe weren't great. Like, I was coming near the end of my time, I was struggling. That didn't help him, you know, the fact that I was struggling. He left Derry City, a team for Stephen Kenny coming in, the likes of Kevin Derry, Gareth McGlynn, Mark Farn, Eddie McKillian, Peter Hutton. He brought Kieran Martin to the club. There's about 4 or 5 hours, I can't even remember. He left Stephen Kenny, the spine of that 2005-2016 that nearly won the treble again, had a great run in Europe. And I know history now, when everybody talks about Derry City, they talk about the treble in the league. But that was the most important time, because people didn't realise what was going on at the time within the club. And only Kevin managed to do it. I got the utmost respect for Kevin, as I do for Felix and Tony Doherty and Jim McLaughlin. You know what I mean? I really do. But when I was in the middle of it with Kevin, the last couple of years, I knew what was going on behind the scenes and what he achieved. Won in a cup, couple of League Cups, you know, and got us in the top 6 2 or 3 times, you know, we basically a bunch of Derry locals, like, you know. He deserves a big chapter in the book whenever they're writing it, like, you know.
Cup Final 2002. Yeah, I've scored so many match winners, but was this one a bit more sweeter because it was a cup final?
Well, it was. I think I played in 5 cup finals before that, and I hadn't scored. I scored in 4 semi-finals, and I scored in D-League Cup finals, but I hadn't scored in the FAI Cup final, and I had chances against Sligo. I should have scored against Cork. I should have scored against Shelburne in 95, and I had a chance in 96 when I was playing with Glentoran in the Irish Cup final. I was, 34 at the time, and the funny thing about it was, I wasn't supposed to start. Beckett was supposed to start. He got injured in training the night before. Kevin said to me, "Look, I'm going to start you tomorrow. See how it goes." Like, you know what I mean? I was myself and Ned was playing. And again, it was an awful game. Like, you know what I mean? It was an absolutely dreadful match. Great support. Like, you know, the match was nearly called off because the river had flooded and Shamrock Rovers fans set that pylon on fire. It was one of them games, like, where probably one goal was going to win it no matter what. First enough, like, you know, Big Kieran will tell you that he had the best pass of his life. Like, you know, when he had shot it, you know, it skewed right over my head. It's just instinct. You just flick it, and when you think of all the chances I had in cup finals before that, that was probably the hardest one. Like, you know what I mean? I've never even seen all I heard was a cheer because I was facing the other way, and then I'd seen the ball just hitting the back of the net. But when you get that age, you know you're not going to play in too many more. So they score the winner. Like, for Kevin, they won a major trophy as well. I should have finished my career that season, like, you know what I mean? Because the injuries were just piling up on me. And I should have said no, but I stayed on. I let the heart rule the head.